What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Chris Collins from Chris C Speaks, and I'm part of the Cool Speak family. Want to spend a little time chopping it up with y'all today about some tips on how to secure the bag in the job interview. But first, I want to give you some tips to actually get to the job interview, right? You're in this magical part of your college career. It's the sophomore year, so you are kind of compiling the 30 hours that most companies require for you to be eligible for an internship or to be hired on for that maybe corporate summer program. But you got to actually get to the interview. So I want to give you two tips that will allow you to be more successful or more likely to actually get the interview so you can land that dream job with your dream company or in your dream field. Number one, go to the career services department. Like for real, go use them. Do you know how many resources they have in the career services department? They're going to help you with your resume. They're going to help you with mock interviews. They're going to show you how to write a cover letter. They might even write the cover letter for you or with you and show you how to tweak it for different jobs so you're not reinventing the wheel every time you have to apply. They'll let you know when to write that cover letter, when not to. There's so many resources that are there right at your fingertips. You already pay for it. You might as well use it. So using those resources makes you a more prepared candidate. Being a more prepared candidate makes you more confident, makes you more confident. The more confidence you have, the better you're going to present yourself when it's time for you to get that interview, okay? Now, the second reason why you want to go down to the career services department is not just for the resources, but it's for the relationships. Relationships are invaluable. Sometimes, and I often tell scholars this, it's not what you know, but it's who you know. And if we want to elevate that, it's not just who you know, but it's who knows you. See, the folks at the Career Services Department, they know who's coming to interview. They know what employers are going to be there for the job fair. They know what employers are coming down to set interviews up for, different departments. And they often know months in advance. Could you imagine being a part of the VIP circle that knows months in advance when folks are coming to campus to interview? When folks are coming down to meet potential candidates? Could you imagine actually being a scholar that is assigned to network with them in the green room and to learn more about how they interact, how they hire, what they're looking for, what they like, what they don't like? Hear some of the horror stories to make sure that when it's your time to shoot your shot, that you don't do that. See, building that relationship and that rapport with the folks in career services goes a long way in helping you to be able to actually get to the interview. So you want to first use the resources at career services, and then two, you want to use the relationships at career services because both of those things will allow you to be more likely to actually land the interview. And don't just stop at career services. The folks in your department, like the dean of your department, or there's probably someone in your department who works hand in hand with career services or directly with employers that does the exact same thing. So you want to know these people. You want them to know you and what your goals and aspirations are so that when they have an email that says, hey, I'm looking for this type of candidate, the first thing they think of is your name, right? You want to build those relationships and use those resources that you're already paying for. Now, I'm going to assume that you're going to follow those little tips. You're going to take that advice and run with it, and you're going to actually get the interview. Now, you got the interview. It's the day before, the week before. You're trying to get your mind right. Here are some tips that are going to make sure that interview goes smoothly and that you knock it out the park like King Griffey. Tip number one, do your Googles, okay? You got to research. I cannot tell you how frustrating it was as a recruiter, as an HR consultant, and as someone that worked for a Fortune 500 company, and I managed the recruiting for the entire West Coast. There was nothing more frustrating than when a candidate sat in my desk and I'm about to offer them an $80,000 job, $120,000 job, and you don't know nothing? Like you don't know nothing about the job? Are you serious? You coming in asking me, so what are we applying for today? What are we here working on? You can leave, right? Make sure you do your research. You want to know some very basic things about the company. CEO, DEI statements, mission statements, what field they're in, who are their competitors, what are the trends in the company, what are the trends in the industry in general, what are the things that the company's doing that sets them apart, that elevates them, what are some struggles that company has that maybe is holding them back from their full potential. And how can you help to make that happen, right? You want to know about the company. Some very basic things that you can find on Google or LinkedIn or Glassdoor. You want to know about the department and about the role. What are some of the day-to-day functions there? Once again, you can find this information. This is valuable information that is at your fingertips through places like LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Google, Wikipedia, social media, where you can connect with folks that have already been through the process. And it just shows that you're doing some due diligence, right? Once again, it's about that a prepared candidate is a confident candidate, and a confident candidate is going to do better. So if you know about the company and you can intelligently speak about what's happening inside of the corporation, you understand their culture, you also understand the trends of the industry. Now you and I connect as an interviewer and an interviewee. I now feel like I'm speaking to someone that's an expert, or at least that has the potential to be an expert. At the bare minimum, I know that I'm speaking with someone that's intelligent and that actually did some work beforehand. They actually did some homework before they sat down in this chair. So that's the first type of research you want to do. The second type of research you want to do is, what are they actually going to ask? You should have some prepared or canned answers for the average or modern or standard behavioral interview questions. You can look them up and you can see what the standard behavioral interview questions are. And that way you don't struggle when they ask you these questions that should be softball questions. And also you can find a creative way to be able to show your personality and be able to put your own twist on the answers. And don't go too far to left field, but just it gives you an opportunity to be prepared. So that way you know exactly what you want to say when they ask you questions like, tell us why you want this job, or let me know your strengths or your weaknesses, and how do you work through those things. Those questions should be easy. But I've seen people slip up on them because they're not prepared. So make sure you do some research on that. So make sure you research the company, make sure you research the trends of the industry, and also make sure you research the common behavioral interview questions. And also, there are some companies out there, like especially some of the more prestigious ones, they have like a very intense interview process. But if it's happened before, it's probably somewhere on the internet. Like if you Google Procter and Gamble, you can get a sense of how their interview works because they have a very unique process, right? So now you can start to prepare for that. So make sure that you do your Googles. Next, don't exaggerate. Please do not exaggerate. Not even a little bit, okay? So see what happened was, I remember I told someone that I like sushi, right? I was just trying to get a date, you know what I mean? So we went out on a date for sushi. But my idea of sushi was Shaggy Dog. All cooked, like I don't want anything raw, nothing still flip-flopping. Their idea of sushi was they wanted the freshest fish that just came out of the coldest waters that was sliced by the most expert hands. And when somebody put raw fish in front of me, I was like, I'm not eating that. That's raw. Like you ain't gonna put no flame on it or nothing. See, I exaggerated a little bit about my love for sushi. See, I was more Shaggy Dog. They were more sashimi or whatever that stuff is called. Now, we were able to laugh about it in the date, but I'll tell you who won't laugh about you exaggerating on your resume or in that interview chair: the company that potentially hires you. If you say that you are an expert in Excel, but you don't know how to do a VLOOKUP, stop the madness. If you say that you speak Spanish because you took Spanish for 7 years all throughout junior high and high school and a couple years in college, but you can't translate a novella or you can't write a paragraph in Spanish, don't say you speak Spanish. Because when I get you on the job and I put you in a place where you have to use the skill set that you say you had and you don't have it, now we have to have a question about your character. And you don't want that to loom over you. And you also don't want the responsibility of that looming over your institution. Because, like it or not, the type of candidate that you are is a personal reflection of you, but it's also a reflection of your institution and the type of candidate that they produce. So don't exaggerate on your resume, y'all. Don't say you can do something that you can't. I promise you have enough strengths, enough accomplishments, enough skills in your tool belt that you can highlight those, and the right employer is going to run and reach out their hands to you like they've been waiting for you forever. Focus on the things you do well. Focus on the things that you've mastered, the things that you've conquered, and for the things that you do struggle with, what you want to do is you want to show a willingness willingness and a sense of urgency on how to remedy those things that you struggle with, right? So if you're not super great at Excel, but you know that that role requires it, hey, look, I'm not a master at it now. I'm not an expert, but currently I'm taking an online course that's showing me how to do some of those things so I can get that Excel certificate, right? You're showing that I'm not there yet, but I am demonstrating a willingness and a sense of urgency to remedy the areas that I know are required for me to be excellent in this role, in this position. All right. So you want to make sure that you tell the truth, focus on the things you actually can do, and don't exaggerate, not even a little bit. The next thing is you want to manage your drip. All right. I knew I was talking about interviewing today, so you know what I'm saying? I got a little something custom for y'all. I don't know if y'all can see that. A little custom, a little something. So I wanted to make sure that I managed my drip and that I matched my attire to the topic. Normally when I speak, I got a sweatshirt or a hoodie on, a baseball cap, but I want to do something a little flashier because we were talking about interviewing. You want to make sure that you match your attire to the situation. A great rule of thumb is to take whatever that role does in a day-to-day thing and then dress one level up. Now, there is a max on that one level up rule. Typically, that one level up rule is going to max out at business attire, which means you don't want to go to formal. Like, don't show up to an interview in a tux or a formal gown. I've seen it. I saw a gentleman come in. He had a tux on with the shirt with the ruffles on it. And I was just like, oh, it's going to be a long day. Great candidate, but we just had to have a conversation about making sure that you manage your attire. Also, you want to do a little research about how does the company culture view the dress and the attire? Are they more conservative, right? There are some companies that like a suit, tie, but in that suit and tie, they only want black, blue, gray, brown, right? The very traditional things. Never forget, there was a big uproar when a certain somebody wore a tan suit. The whole country was like, oh my goodness, a tan suit. They make them, right? It was probably custom, so chill out. But it wasn't customary for that particular role. So you want to ask yourself, how does this company view their attire? Are they more conservative? Are they more a traditional corporate structure? Are they a little bit more relaxed where they do jeans and t-shirts or business casual? But even for the interview, you want to take what they do in their day-to-day and you want to go one level up. A really quick rule is you always want to be over-prepared than under-prepared. So if you say, you know what, one level up is maybe a dress shirt, no tie, and slacks. Well, you want to wear your suit slacks and your dress shirt. But in your car, you want to make sure that you have a tie and a sport coat just in case. So if the business attire for a young lady is they normally wear, very casual and you just have on a blouse and a skirt or a blouse and pants, then you want to have your pants be a part of your suit and you want to keep your suit jacket in the car. That way, if you get out of the car and you see that everyone is dressed to the nines, they have on shirt and tie, they're ultra business attire, you can just say, oh, I left my jacket in the car. Let me go grab it. And it's there. You're prepared for any and every inevitability. Manage your drip appropriately. And I know you want to say, well, I want to show my personality. That's fine. If you want to show your personality, you do that in your t-shirt that they can't see. Maybe that gives you the confidence. You want to show a little bit of personality. Maybe you do it in your socks. Maybe you do it a little bit in your shoes. But the interview is not the time to show your personality through your clothes. It's a time to show it through your actions and how you actually interact with the employer. Now, this next tip is important. It's actually a game changer. It's called the PSR method. The PSR method is going to change the way you answer questions in interviews forever. It's called, the PSR stands for problem, solution, results. So here's how this works. You want to highlight a problem that your organization or your employer previously had. You want to then talk about the solution that you created or that you were a part of creating to address that problem. And last but not least, you want to talk about the results that came after that solution. So you ever felt like you left something on the table after you answered a question? Well, I had a candidate who didn't leave anything on the table. We asked them a question, a very simple question about their skill set, and then 30 minutes later, they were still talking to us about their skill set. It was a long interview. About 15 minutes in, we're texting each other like, hey, how do we get this individual to stop without being rude and just interrupting? But a 30-minute answer is way too long. A 30-second answer is way too short. How do you find the balance? It's the PSR method. You highlight the problem, you talk about a solution, and then you want to provide the results. So, for example, if I want to talk about a problem that I solved, like maybe it was attendance, we had a lack of attendance in our organization or at my previous employer. So, what we did was we did some research, we figured out why folks weren't coming, and then we started to encourage or incentivize attendance with employees of the week or members of the week, and we had prizes and games, etc. So, whatever the solution is, and then because of that solution, we now had an increased attendance of over 40 or 60% quarter to date or the very next month. Or we took a survey, and then now the folks that did attend say they were 60% more engaged. Or you want to be able to show the actual practical impact that you had in the spaces that you occupied with the opportunities that you have. Problem, solution, results. Also, when you're writing your resume, it's good to have this PSR method when you write your resume. So for when you highlight what you did in a job or a particular role or function, you want to have at least one or two PSR points for every single job role or function that you're highlighting. You want to highlight a problem that was there, a solution that was developed, and then the results from that particular thing. Now, I gave y'all a lot of tips, right? A lot of game. Do your Googles, don't exaggerate, manage your drip, and then use the PSR method. If you do those 4 tips, when you sit down for the interview, you'll be prepared. Because you're prepared, you'll be confident. Because you're confident, you'll knock it out the park like King Griffey. I know it's an old ball player, but y'all get it. Good luck. Best wishes. We'll see you on the other side.